this is how he started it out, though. Like, how far did he get in the speech came before he was like, but my Trump? Like the first, yeah, Juan's got it. Like the first, like second. Listen to this.
All indications are this bill won't even move forward to the Senate floor. Why? A simple reason. Donald Trump.
So I don't understand why he's blaming Trump. Trump endorsed James Langford, the guy who wrote the damn thing. He endorsed him. Whether that makes you mad or not is entirely irrelevant and inconsequential to the reality that he endorsed Langford. He endorsed the guy who wrote it. And when Trump was president, I mean, good grief, they were entertaining the whole Paul Ryan amnesty bill. So for Biden to come out and say that is kind of disingenuous. Now, I think that Trump and every other Republican now are saying this bill is not good, but it's because it's a bad bill. And it would also make it impossible for other administrations in the future to do anything about the border, because it just reallocates power. I mean, it's a mess. So, I mean, I don't know. What did we glean from his remarks here? He's saying that it's going to affect everything that we do related to Taiwan or Israel or Ukraine. I don't want to send Ukraine any more funding. I'm tired of it. I am so tired of it because we don't know where it's going. It's a foreign land dispute. That doesn't mean that I like Russia. I still think that Russia is a defeated, desiccated geopolitical foe. But if they were powerful enough to step up to NATO, like all these warmongers are saying, they would have been able to easily steamroll through Ukraine. And guess what? They didn't. It didn't happen. Ukraine has a disorganized fighting force that is less trained. And yet they still were able to repel Russia. So I'm not buying this from these warmongers who know less about this area than a lot of us who like to read about it for hobbies. It's just stupid. It's big con, neocon, Inc. BS. And they try to gaslight you into saying that you don't care about national security because you don't want to send your kids off to die in a war while their kids get cushy think tank jobs and they get purchased for them congressional seats in Texas's 26th district. But that's a different discussion. So, that being said, this bill, John Cornyn came out against it. John Cornyn. That's one of McConnell's BFFs, but that signals where McConnell is on this. They're just hanging out Langford to dry, hanging him out to dry. Barrasso came out. He's number 3. He says, I can't vote for this bill. Cornyn said he had serious concerns. I don't think that any negotiation, because they had apparently negotiations last night, and the word going around was that they were screaming and yelling at each other behind the closed doors meeting. And I don't think it was that negotiation that, ran off any senator. I think that they saw the reaction from people to this bill, that's what did it. I mean, you literally get nothing out of this bill. Republicans don't get a single damn thing out of this bill. And by Republicans, I mean people who want the border to just not be a hot mess. There's nothing out of this. There's nothing that they get out of this bill. Nothing. It is, you don't have to have a new law that allows you to enforce and execute the laws that are in place already. There's no new law that's going to allow you to execute the law in place already. And this idea that he came out, he says, oh, well, we're going to hire all these new agents. Guess what? The new agents are going to be detaining, and they're not going to be doing anything except paperwork. That's all they're going to do. They're just going to be able to do paperwork. They're not going to be catching anybody out there. And they're misleading you to think otherwise. So they walked into this. It was a trap, and they're trying to blame. That's their narrative. They want to blame Republicans so that they can wash their hands of any culpability with the border. And Republicans walked into it. And now Republicans are going to be pressured into changing their opposition to support because they're being blamed for it. I mean, it's really stellar maneuvering by Democrats, but it's not anything new. They did this with health care. They've done this with government shutdowns. And you know what? The last time that Republicans, and this was in 2012, 2010, Republicans stood against this narrative, and they ended up taking in a huge margin the majority in the House during midterms. Republicans need to hold the line, and they need to be on the same page with messaging. And that's a little difficult to do when you got people out here defending this bill. A lot difficult to do. And so, because it's a mess. This thing's a mess. Democrats they are trying to get Republicans to be the fall guys so that they can get themselves off the hook for this, because this was an issue, one of several, but this was a major issue that was making it to where it was actually hurting them really badly in the polls. It was hurting them really bad in the polls. And now they've got Republicans being the fall guy for them. It's a really something else. And so his speech, well, this is Trump. Johnson already said that Trump isn't calling the shots on this. And I think, honestly, and again, this isn't a statement on Trump. I need people to stop being so damn tribal, because that doesn't help us. It's just mind-numbingly ridiculous. It's irrelevant. Trump only weighed in this in like the last second. So to say that Trump's calling the shots on this is stupid. This is the American people reacting to this, because to say that it's just Trump calling the shots, what they're saying is that you're too stupid to actually do your own critical thinking, and that you have to be told by a politician. That's what they're telling you. It's a double insult. They're saying that, oh, it's Trump and extreme MAGA, and it's Trump that's calling the shots on all of this. What they're saying is the American people are illiterate, and they're too stupid to read this publicly available bill that's online in the form of a PDF, and it's 370 pages long, and you can read it in one evening. Unless you're Brandon Johnson, who's the mayor of Chicago, and it's because he's got a wife, and not just any wife, but a black wife, and kids, and not just any kids, but black kids. For some reason, that counts. So unless you're Brandon Johnson, this thing is a mess. It is a mess. They should have went with HR 2, Chip Roy's thing. That's what we were talking about yesterday with Congressman Roy, because all of the good stuff that we had in HR 2, this thing doesn't do any of it. We don't have it doesn't end mass release. It doesn't end catch and release. It doesn't, it basically, well, it doesn't basically, it encourages the parole abuses while trying to make it, they say they're trying to make it orderly, but it's just paroling people in. And it doesn't raise the credible fear standard, because you get unprecedented power given to asylum officers that are at Mayorkas's direction. And so Mayorkas can tell them to rubber stamp all asylum claims. And a credible fear is a requirement in order to be considered as an asylee. That's a requirement. And that's the standard. And that's being struck from this. I mean, we're billions of dollars more into NGOs. It strips states of power to be able to challenge this and temper the authority, the actions of the White House. And it gives all the power to a leftist D.C. district court that is more radical than the Ninth Circuit.